POV, you got accepted to Hogwarts from Harry Potter. 11-year-old Leo Martinez never thought magic was real. He lived in a small apartment above a laundromat in Brooklyn, where the air always smelled faintly like detergent and dryer sheets. His mom worked long hours managing the machines downstairs, while Leo spent most of his time reading fantasy books and sketching dragons in his notebook. Every morning, Leo would help his mom fold warm clothes and watch the coins tumble in the glass jars beside the change machine. But one Tuesday morning in July, when the air outside was thick with humidity and the rumble of traffic echoed off the buildings, something extraordinary happened. Leo was pulling socks out of the dryer when he noticed an envelope tucked into a towel. It was cream-colored, sealed with a red wax stamp that had a funny crest on it: a lion, a badger, an eagle, and a snake curled around a big letter, H. He blinked. Then he turned it over. His name was written on the front in emerald green ink. Leo Martinez. Top apartment, Martinez Laundry. Brooklyn, New. His heart thumped like a drum. He tore it open, and that's when everything changed. Dear Mr. Martinez, we are pleased to inform you that you have been accepted at Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry. Please find enclosed a list of all necessary books and equipment. Term begins on September 1st. We await your owl no later than July 31st. Yours sincerely, Minerva McGonagall, Deputy Headmistress. Leo stared. His mind raced. This had to be a prank, or one of those viral videos where someone gets surprised on camera. But the envelope felt real. The parchment was thick and textured, and the handwriting didn't look like something printed on a computer. Slowly, he turned the letter over again. Mom, he called out. His mother poked her head in from the stairwell, still wearing her green apron. Sí, mijo? Did you leave this letter in the towels? She frowned. No, what letter? When he showed her, her eyes grew wide. She didn't laugh. She didn't smile. In fact, she looked confused. And a little scared. That night, Leo couldn't sleep. He lay in bed, staring at the glowing stars stuck to his ceiling. He had read every Harry Potter book, twice. He knew Hogwarts wasn't real. It couldn't be, could it? Still, the letter was sitting on his desk, real as ever. When he finally drifted off to sleep, he dreamed of trains made of smoke and staircases that twisted like vines. The next morning, a knock came at their door. Not from a deliverman, not from a neighbor, but from a woman in a purple cloak with half-moon glasses, holding a paper cup of coffee from the bodega across the street. Good morning, she said cheerfully. You must be Leo. Leo's mom pulled him behind her protectively. Who are you? My name is Professor Chong, she said warmly. I'm a liaison from the North American branch of the Hogwarts Outreach Committee. I'm here to answer some questions. May I come in? They sat around the kitchen table, sipping cinnamon tea while the professor explained everything. You're a wizard, Leo, she said. Leo's heart jumped. Like, actually? Absolutely. And Hogwarts has had its eye on you for a long time. You've shown signs, small things, like the street lamp flickering when you're angry, or pencils rolling off desks when you concentrate too hard. Leo blinked. That had happened. But why me, he asked. I'm just normal. Professor Chong smiled. Magic chooses those with great potential. And your magic is strong, Leo. You belong with others like you. You belong at Hogwarts. His mom was still nervous, but when the professor promised Leo would be safe, protected, and free to visit home for holidays, she finally nodded. Leo's fingers trembled as he signed the enrollment parchment. He was going to Hogwarts. The next week was a blur. Professor Chong took Leo shopping for supplies, not in New York, but through a hidden doorway in a bakery that led to a place called Draken Alley. Wands, cauldrons, spellbooks, an owl that hooted when you said its name. Leo picked out a wand made of vine wood with a phoenix feather core. It hummed gently when he held it. They even bought his robes, black with silver buttons, and a hat that made him look like he'd just stepped out of a fairy tale. The most exciting stop was the bookstore. Leo flipped through A Beginner's Guide to Transfiguration and Standard Spells, Grade 1 with wide eyes. Every page shimmered with promise. But as exciting as it was, Leo couldn't help feeling nervous. What if he wasn't good at magic? What if he didn't fit in? What if he got sorted into Slytherin and all the kids hated him? Professor Chong seemed to sense his worries. Hogwarts is full of surprises, she said gently. But it's also full of people just like you. You'll see. The last night before he left, Leo sat on the fire escape, staring at the stars. His mom came out and handed him a tamale wrapped in foil. You ready, Mijo? Leo hugged her tightly. I think so. You'll do great, she whispered, stroking his hair. Just be yourself. The next morning, they took a train to Boston, where the American Portal Station was hidden behind a mural of Paul Revere. With a final hug and teary smile, Leo stepped through the enchanted doorway and found himself at King's Cross Station in London. There it was, platform 9 3/4. A red steam engine stood waiting, puffing clouds of magic into the air. Leo grinned. He was going to Hogwarts. The Hogwarts Express chugged out of the station with a whistle so loud it made Leo jump. He pressed his face against the window, watching the gray city blur into green countryside, the clouds clearing to reveal a sky so blue it looked enchanted. The train car was full of laughter and chatter. Witches and wizards Leo's age bustled through the aisles with enchanted snacks, floating chocolate frogs, and owls perched in cages that hooted whenever someone passed by. One boy was showing off a glowing marble that bounced off walls like a rubber ball but never lost its light. Leo sat alone in a compartment at first, his robe still neatly folded in his suitcase. He was flipping through a copy of Hogwarts, a history, when someone knocked gently at the door. Mind if we sit here? Asked a tall girl with curly black hair, dragging a suitcase with stickers that said Salem Witch Academy Exchange and I Red Heart Dragons. Beside her was a short boy with glasses and a nervous look. Sure, Leo said quickly.
I'm Leo.
Amara, the girl replied, flopping onto the seat. And this is Teddy. First years, too. Teddy nodded.
I'm terrified.
Leo laughed, and the three of them instantly clicked. They talked the whole train ride. About magic, about the classes they were excited for, and about how Teddy's owl, Crumpet, had pecked a hole through his hat. As the train began to slow, they changed into their black robes. The atmosphere grew hushed with excitement. The first years were gathered and led off the train by a towering man named Hagrid, who had a beard like a lion and boots the size of dinner plates. First years this way, he called cheerfully. We're going across the lake. The journey across the lake was silent and beautiful. The sky had turned a deep lavender, and the reflection of the castle in the water shimmered like a dream. Turrets and towers loomed above, their windows glowing with golden light. Leo stared, heart hammering in his chest. This was really happening. He was really here. Inside the castle, everything was even more magical than he'd imagined. Floating candles danced above their heads. The ceiling looked like the night sky, complete with twinkling stars. The walls were lined with portraits that whispered and waved as they passed. Professor McGonagall greeted them in her emerald robes, her expression stern but kind. Welcome to Hogwarts, she said. In a moment, you will each be sorted into one of 4 houses. Your house will be like your family while you are here, sharing dormitories, classes, and meals. You will gain house points for good behavior and lose them for breaking the rules. But remember, every house has its own strengths. Leo's stomach fluttered as the sorting hat was placed on a stool in the center of the room. Then it moved. A seam near the brim opened like a mouth. The hat sang. Musical note. Oh, coming close, don't be afraid. This hat has magic tailor-made. Gryffindor is brave and bold, while Hufflepuff has a heart of gold. Ravenclaw is quick and wise, and Slytherin can strategize. So sit ye down, and place me true, and I shall find the house for you. Musical note. One by one, the kids were called forward. Thompson Abigail, Hufflepuff. Martinez Leo. Leo's legs turned to jelly. He walked to the stool and sat as the sorting hat was placed on his head. Said a voice inside his mind. Very curious. A clever mind and quite a bit of heart. Loyal, but daring. You could do well in Gryffindor. But also,
You don't mind standing out.
a dash of mischief. Yes, perhaps. Gryffindor. The table on the far left erupted in cheers. Leo grinned and ran over, clapping hands with older students as he slid into a seat beside a beaming Amara. She had been sorted into Gryffindor too. Teddy went to Ravenclaw and waved sheepishly from the other table. The feast that followed was unforgettable. Roast chicken, pumpkin pasties, treacle tart. Every dish Leo had read about appeared in front of him in shimmering golden bowls. He tried everything. He even drank some butterbeer, which fizzed on his tongue like warm soda and made him hiccup bubbles. After dessert, Leo reached for a final cupcake, and it disappeared. He blinked. What the? He grabbed for another. It vanished too. The whole plate shimmered once, then popped out of existence. Across the table, a red-haired boy smirked. "Vanishing prank plate," he said proudly. "My dad works at Zonko's joke shop." Leo gaped. "That's amazing." The boy winked. "You haven't seen anything yet." That night, in the Gryffindor common room, Leo curled up by the fire with his new friends. "I still can't believe we're actually here," Amara whispered, hugging her pillow. Leo nodded. "It already feels like home." Just then, the fireplace flared green, and a scroll of parchment popped out, landing in the ashes. Amara picked it up. "It's got your name on it." Leo opened it carefully. It read, "To Leo Martinez. From Prefect Penny of Gryffindor House. Challenge 1. If you can find the golden acorn hidden in the castle's north tower before dawn, you'll earn your first house point. No magic allowed. Just courage. And cleverness. Optional, but recommended. Good luck." Leo's eyes widened. His first Hogwarts challenge. He looked at Amara, who grinned back. "What are we waiting for?" she said. The common room had quieted to a soft hum of snores and the flicker of firelight. Leo glanced around, clutching the scroll in his hand. "You're seriously going?" Amara whispered. Leo nodded. "I mean, it said recommended. That has to mean something." Amara looked down at her fuzzy slippers, then back at Leo. "Well, you're not going alone." They tiptoed across the common room, careful not to wake the older students, and slipped out the portrait hole behind the fat lady, who gave a sleepy yawn and muttered, "Off on an adventure, are we? Mind the ghosts." The halls of Hogwarts at night were different. The grand staircases creaked like they were alive. The portraits whispered and shifted. Shadows stretched farther than they should have. Leo gripped his wand, not to use it, since magic wasn't allowed for the challenge, but for comfort. Amara pulled out a notebook. "North Tower, that's where astronomy classes are. Near the divination classroom." "You're a first year, and you already memorized the map?" Leo asked, impressed. She grinned. "I like to be prepared." Together, they crept up staircase after staircase, dodging patrolling suits of armor and a giggling ghost who floated upside down, scattering flower petals as he passed. When they reached the 7th floor, they found a spiral staircase made of glittering crystal that led to the tower. "This must be it," Leo said, eyeing the stairs. "Race you," Amara whispered. "No way," Leo started, but Amara was already running. At the top, they entered a round room filled with telescopes and floating star charts. A dome of glass revealed a sky glittering with constellations, and somewhere far below, the lake shimmered like a mirror. "I don't see any acorns," Leo said, scanning the room. "Me neither," Amara whispered. "Let's check under the telescope stands." They searched quietly, careful not to bump anything. They checked inside drawers, behind globes, even under a cabinet of antique hourglasses. Then Leo spotted something odd, a small crack in the stone wall, just behind an old desk. He knelt down and saw that it was loose. "Help me move this," he whispered. Together, they shifted the desk aside. Behind the crack was a keyhole, tiny and gold. Amara squinted. "That's shaped like an acorn." Leo checked his robe pockets and gasped. There, tucked behind the scroll, was a golden key. Its handle was shaped like a leaf, and at the end, a perfect acorn. He slid it into the keyhole. With a soft click, The wall shimmered and slid open like a curtain made of mist. Behind it was a small alcove. On a pedestal sat a glowing golden acorn. Leo reached out carefully, but before his fingers touched it, a voice echoed around the tower. One question, one answer, one truth. Leo and Amara froze. The acorn pulsed with soft light. Then the voice came again, gentle and curious. Why do you want to be a wizard? Leo swallowed. He thought of all the things he might say. Because it's cool, or because I want to fly on brooms, or because magic is awesome. But then he remembered the long days in the laundromat. His mom folding clothes while trying not to look tired. The way books were his only escape. And how Hogwarts felt like more than just magic, it felt like a second chance. He took a breath. Because I want to make my life magical, he said. Not just mine. My mom's too. She's always worked so hard, and I want to do something amazing. Something worth all her sacrifices. The tower went silent. Then the golden acorn rose into the air, spun once, and dropped into Leo's hands. The voice whispered one final word. Worthy. On the way back, they nearly got caught by Peeves the poltergeist, who tried to stick a balloon to Leo's head, but Amara distracted him with an exploding snap candy. By the time they returned to Gryffindor Tower, the sky outside was turning pale pink. They collapsed into their beds, exhausted but grinning. Leo drifted off to sleep with the golden acorn tucked beneath his pillow. The next morning, a scroll appeared at breakfast. To Leo Martinez, Gryffindor House. Congratulations! +5 house points for courage, cleverness, and honesty. Prefect Penny says, you're off to a magical start. The Gryffindor table erupted in cheers. Even the older students clapped him on the back, and Professor McGonagall gave him a small smile across the hall. Leo turned bright red. That afternoon, classes began. First was Charms with Professor Flitwick, who stood on a stack of books to reach the chalkboard. They learned Wingardium Leviosa, and Leo managed to make his feather rise after only 4 tries. Excellent wand work, Mr. Martinez. Flitwick squeaked, and Leo beamed. Next came herbology, where he and Amara repotted bouncing beans that tried to escape the soil every time they looked away. Then came defense against the dark arts, taught by a tall, stern witch named Professor Santiago, who had glowing runes tattooed across her forearms. She taught them how to sense magical energy in a room, which made Leo's hands tingle like touching static. But the best class by far was flying. They met Madame Vargas, who had a booming laugh and rode a broom like a race car driver. Mount your brooms, she called, and kick off when I say go. Leo's broom twitched under his fingers. 3, 2, 1. With a whoosh, the students shot into the air. Some screamed. Others wobbled. But Leo? Leo soared. The wind whipped through his hair. The castle spread below like a painting. The lake glittered like glass. For the first time in his life, Leo felt weightless, limitless,
Free.
Madame Vargas grinned. You're a natural, Martinez. That evening in the common room, Leo sat with Amara and Teddy by the fire again. Crumpet the owl was asleep on a cushion, and the golden acorn glowed faintly on the table beside them. I still can't believe we found it, Amara said. Teddy leaned forward. And that voice, what do you think it was? Leo shrugged. I don't know, but I think it wanted to know who we really were. Amara looked at him, then smiled. Well, whoever you are, Leo Martinez, she said, you're going to do great things. Leo looked into the fire, thinking of his mom, his tiny apartment in Brooklyn, the washing machines that never stopped, and the letter that had changed everything. He held the acorn tighter. He didn't just want to be a good wizard. He wanted to be a great one. A few weeks passed like a blink. Leo quickly fell into the rhythm of Hogwarts life, waking up to enchanted curtains, memorizing potion ingredients, dodging Peeves' pranks, and laughing so hard during care of magical creatures that he once snorted pumpkin juice through his nose. His bond with Amara and Teddy only deepened. They studied together, explored forgotten corridors, and even helped rescue a baby niffler who had snuck into the Great Hall during lunch and tried to eat all the shiny goblets. Still, There was one thing that tugged at Leo's heart, his mom. Even with all the magic and friends and excitement, he missed her every day. He hadn't heard from her since arriving. He wrote letters, but no reply came. Professor Chong had warned him that owl post from the US could take longer to arrive. Still, every morning he checked for a response. Nothing. And then came the fireflies. It started late one Friday night. Leo couldn't sleep. Something, he didn't know what, kept nudging him awake. He finally got up and peeked out the common room window. Tiny golden lights floated through the air outside. Not just stars. Not candles. Fireflies. They moved in a perfect line, spiraling up the stairs toward the top of Gryffindor Tower. Leo blinked. Then he followed. He padded quietly up the winding steps, heart fluttering, until he reached a wooden door he had never noticed before. The fireflies floated right through it. He pushed it open. Inside was a dark, silent room with one thing: a mirror. It was enormous, taller than the ceiling, with gold trim and clawed feet. And inside its surface, Leo didn't see his reflection. He saw his mom. She was standing in their little apartment above the laundromat, folding clothes and humming softly. She looked tired but peaceful. The towel in her hand was the one he'd found his Hogwarts letter in. And next to her?
Le.
But not just him. Him in Gryffindor robes, holding his wand, smiling proudly. He stepped closer, breath caught in his throat. "What is this?" he whispered. A soft voice answered behind him. "The mirror of Eris." Leo turned. Professor Chong stood in the doorway, her wand glowing faintly. "It shows your heart's greatest desire," she said. "Some sea riches, others power, or lost loved ones. You see home and pride." Leo wiped his eyes. "She doesn't even know if I'm okay," he whispered. "She does," Professor Chong said gently. "Look again." Leo turned. The scene had changed. Now, his mom was sitting in her favorite chair. In her lap was a letter, his letter. She was smiling as she read it, a mug of champorado steaming on the table beside her. She looked proud. A soft tear rolled down Leo's cheek. Then he laughed through it. "She got my owl." Professor Chong nodded. "And she's very proud of you." The next morning, a real owl arrived at breakfast with a small package. Leo tore it open eagerly. Inside was a letter and a picture. The letter was warm and tear-stained and filled with love. But the picture, oh, the picture. It was a photograph of his mom holding up a sign that said, "Mi hijo es un mago." Teddy leaned over. "What's that mean?" Leo beamed. "It means, my son is a wizard." That afternoon, Professor McGonagall made a surprise announcement during lunch. As part of Hogwarts' new first-year challenge program, she said, each house will be selecting a first-year student to represent them in the candlelight trial. Gasps rippled through the Great Hall. "It is a test of cleverness, bravery, and teamwork," McGonagall continued. "A friendly competition. House pride is at stake. And this year, Gryffindor has chosen Leo Martinez." Leo nearly dropped his goblet. That night, he met the other competitors, a Ravenclaw named Mina with perfect posture, a Slytherin named Cyrus who had a pet lizard on his shoulder, and a sweet Hufflepuff named Noor who kept offering everyone lemon drops. The trial took place in the Undercroft, a maze beneath the castle, lit only by floating candles. "First one to light the final flame wins a crystal star and 10 points for their house," said Professor Santiago, who was overseeing the event. "You may use magic, but beware. Some flames are fakes." Leo swallowed hard. The trial began. The Undercroft was a labyrinth of riddles and illusions. At the first turn, Leo found himself in a room of mirrors, all reflecting different versions of himself. One crying, one laughing, one yawning, one completely upside down. He remembered something from class. To find the true self, let the heart guide the spell. Leo raised his wand. Lumos Cordis. The mirrors faded, except one. He stepped through it. Then came the staircase, made of floating books. Each step was a riddle. One wrong answer, and the book would vanish. He solved 3, stumbled on one, and barely made it across by jumping to the last page with a well-placed Levioso. Finally, he reached the last chamber. 3 candles hovered in the air, each glowing a different color: silver, blue, and golden orange. Only one would open the final door. He hesitated, then remembered the fireflies. The golden orange flame matched their glow perfectly. He reached out, and the door opened with a whisper. A brilliant flame lit the room, rising into a crystal star. It hovered before Leo, humming softly. He'd done it.
He'd won.
Back in the Great Hall, students cheered as Leo returned with the star. Professor McGonagall smiled, and the Gryffindor hourglass gleamed with 10 new rubies. Later that evening, he placed the crystal star on the mantle in the common room. Amara high-fived him. Teddy offered him half his chocolate frog. "You're making Hogwarts history already," Teddy said.
Leo laughed.
"I'm just getting started." That night, as Leo lay in bed, he thought about everything. The laundromat, the letter, the fireflies, the mirror, the candle maze. He had left Brooklyn not knowing if he belonged. Now, he couldn't imagine being anywhere else. And even though his mom was far away, her picture sat on his bedside table. Her smile made Hogwarts feel even more like home. With a deep, happy sigh, Leo whispered into the night, "Good night, Hogwarts." And the castle, in its own quiet way, whispered back,